G'day, mate. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to The Rescuers Down Under. And it's been a little bit since I reacted to the first one of these. In fact, let me look this up real quick. Let me look this up. Because we reacted to the first one, and then I've kind of been putting this one off for a while. Yeah, this was May of last year, May 2023, that we reacted to this. I've been putting off getting to this sequel, and I don't entirely know why. It's not a case of like, oh, I don't think this is going to live up to the original or anything. I like the original, but I mean, I don't think it was like the best movie of all time, so it's not like I have these like high, lofty expectations. So I don't know what it is. I don't know. But for some reason, I've just kept putting it off, and like, there's been a couple points during all of these months that I've thought about getting to it, and I just went with something else instead. Again, I can't explain why, but hey, we're here now. We're getting to it, so that's what matters. So, I can't remember the names of the main characters, but we had the boy mouse and the girl mouse. The girl mouse is like this fancy, I think she was rich, kind of well-to-do, at least, aristocrat type character. And the boy mouse was like, I wouldn't say poor, but just an average guy. And he had to escort her and stuff, and they got into shenanigans. All kinds of stuff happened. It's been a while, okay? But yeah, so this one, Rescuers Down Under, I know it takes place in Australia. Or at least for the most part. I don't know anything else about it. Like, I don't know, like, who the villain is or anything, really anything. And like, I might have heard stuff or maybe even seen a clip here and there once or twice in my life. It's very possible. Hell, it's probable. But I don't know / remember anything. It's not really something I ever paid a huge amount of attention to. So, anything I might have seen or heard, excuse me, anything I might have seen or heard in the past, just completely out of my mind. Just do not remember any of it. So we're going in as blind as possible, really. The only thing that would make it blinder is if I hadn't seen the first movie and I didn't know it was about Australia. Though the title would tell me that, to be fair. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping that it's as good, if not better, than the first one. And we will see. It's not too long of a movie. It's like, I think it said like 1 hour, 17 minutes or something like that. And that's probably including the credits, so yeah, I don't know what to expect. But let's just get into this and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, or to the movie, rather, sorry. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, that was Rescuers Down Under. I looked up the voices in between, the ones that I was saying sounded a little familiar. I must have just heard the names before, because I didn't recognize anything they were in outside of this. Like, there are a couple things like that I've heard of, but nothing like I would actually know, you know? That being said, first and foremost, Um, this movie had some tropes in it that I'm not always the biggest fan of. I mentioned them during the reaction. Um, the entire love triangle trope it's really hard to do that right. It's almost impossible. And let me put this in perspective. I've made it clear on the channel that I love The Legend of Korra, the sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And in season one, there, and kind of in season two as well, there's this entire love triangle arc kind of situation going on. And it's definitely the weakest part of the entirety of The Legend of Korra. It is the single worst part of the series. And I've said before, while I adore the series, while it's one of my favorite shows, I can still acknowledge when it has flaws. And that is definitely its biggest flaw. Um, because it's almost impossible to get that right. And even in a show that gets so much right and does so much great things, that's not one thing it was able to succeed at. Doing a love triangle is exceptionally hard because by nature it just comes across as needless melodrama. It never feels necessary, and it almost always comes across as cringy, if we're being honest. It's not usually a good thing. And mind you, the way that they closed it out in this by having it so that what is his name? Hold on, I still have the cast thing up here. Jake. By having it that Jake was not just okay with it, but actually, celebratory towards Bernard and Miss Bianca in the end, and even congratulated Bernard on his proposal. It's like I like that they ended things that way, and I like that they didn't really go too heavy into the love triangle stuff. Like Miss Bianca never showed interest in him; it was entirely one-sided. It was obvious that Miss Bianca only had eyes for Bernard, but at the same time, even just including it in here as little as it was still a little annoying. Um, there's also the entire thing about just the fact that there's an attempt to create tension here that just doesn't really work because it's a children's movie, or well, a family movie that is made for like a PG audience. It's not going to have any actual danger. Well, okay, it's not going to have the kid anything actually happen to him. He's going to be safe, he's going to be fine. And yeah, as a kid, when you're watching this kind of thing, it's like you're going to be a little more concerned. You're going to be a little more worried because you're a kid. And you don't understand yet that this kind of situation is going to end out well because that's just how these kind of movies work. You don't have that kind of foresight and knowledge. But as an adult watching this, like, you don't like seeing the kid be put in danger, but at the same time, you never feel any tension because it's just constantly obvious that he's going to be fine. And maybe it's just that I've seen so much by this point, but it's like, I don't really feel the tension there. Like, if this were like an R-rated adult film or something, like that was like, and by adult film, I don't mean that kind of adult film, you know what I mean. If this were like an R-rated movie that was made for adults and you could actually believe a kid could be killed off in it, then that would be a different story. That would be different. But with this being like a PG animated family film, it's like, there's no chance. Absolutely zero chance. I I don't remember if I said this during in the first movie, but an issue here as well is that it felt too short. Like, I feel like there needed to be more um, build up to a lot of things. Also, the way it ended super suddenly, and like the Eagle Marahute or whatever its name was, she didn't even get to see her babies in the end and all. It's like just after they hatched, it just feels off. Plus, we never saw Cody reunite with his mother, which would have been nice, considering they made a point of showing the mother getting the backpack and, being extremely depressed from the idea that her son could be fucking dead. And we never get to see that reunite. Or the reunion. We never get to see that reunion, and it's really disappointing. And I've said this about something else too. Actually, it might have even been the first Rescuers. Maybe that happened in the first one too, where the kid didn't reunite with the parents or something. But I've said this about at least something else before. It's just that kind of dissatisfaction. Because they make a point of showing the parent and showing the relationship, it's like you... No, it was big. That's what it was. It was big. The Tom Hanks movie. I wanted to see him reunite with his mother because that was such a focal point in the film. And in this movie, it's not as much of a focal point as it was in that, but still, they make a notable point of it. Again, they make a notable point of showing the mother thinking he's dead. Not showing them reunite is a very big missed opportunity. I think it could have really drove home an emotional angle to the end of it, and it would have made the fact that there isn't a lot of tension with Cody. It would have made it feel better in that regard. It would have made it feel a little more real. That would balance out the lack of tension, is what I'm trying to say. Joanna is very much a character that is thrown in here just for the sake of comedy. Joanna has no other purpose here. Like, her entire character is kind of a waste of time otherwise. She doesn't really add anything to the film, and she's just there to be silly and goofy and slightly a threat. But mostly just for the comedic edge. And a lot of movies do that and everything, so that's not like a big surprise, especially animated movies like this. They'll have like a comical comical animal sidekick. That's what I was trying to say. But a lot of times they're a good guy, so it is interesting seeing the comical animal sidekick. I keep wanting to say animated. It is interesting seeing a villain version of that. Though I'm sure it's not the only one. I just can't think of another specifically off the top of my head. But yeah. Oh, well, I guess you would actually count Bartok from Anastasia. I mean, he's not really much of a villain, but he's working for the villain. I guess you would count Bartok. Yeah. So there's one. And honestly, like, between all the tropes and the issues with tension and the pacing needing to be a little better and just the movie need to be a little longer and everything, but between all these issues, I can still say that this is better than the first movie. Notably so. Like, the first movie was good. I enjoyed it. But, honestly, kind of boring. Especially compared to this one. This one felt like it was more fun and more entertaining. Despite all of its issues, it was a fun watch. It never felt like it was too slow. It just needed to be longer, like I said. And despite the issues, I still had a lot of fun watching it. I was enjoying it and rooting for the characters. The entire trope of Bernard constantly getting interrupted when he wants to propose and everything, but finally getting there in the end. It's like, again, another trope that is a little annoying as you're watching, but the payoff is still very, very nice and cute. Um, when he finally gets to propose, and she, of course, accepts, because it's obvious they love the shit out of each other. Um, yeah, it was super cute. And so it kind of helps with that because cuteness is definitely a thing that I've always really liked. Cute moments like that always hit me well. Um, I feel like Jake as a character was a little needless. Like he didn't really add much, if we're being honest. I think they just wanted to have like an Australian mouse join them. That's really all he was. Like there wasn't really any other point. They had a different albatross this time. I don't remember who the original one was, but I can find that out real quick just by typing in the rescuers. Also, the first one came out in 77. This one came out in 1990. So there was a bit of a break between them. So let me see. I just have to look up cast here. Okay. Yeah. So Orville, um, who was the you know the one in the first film, was played by Jim Jordan, and it was his last performance too. He passed away in 1988. Um, so yeah. So according to this, he had not performed since the death of his wife in 61, but this film had lured him out of retirement, but it would serve as his last public performance. And also, the the one in the first film was Orville, and in this one it's Wilbur, the Wright brothers, obviously. But let's see here. And they got John Candy to play Wilbur in this one, and John Candy, unfortunately, is an actor who passed well before his time. He was an amazing actor who did a lot of great roles in so many amazing movies like Cool Runnings and Uncle Buck, and he was even in Home Alone. So it's like he had a pretty big career, and it was his voice was really recognizable in this too. Especially with his inflection, just the way he talked was very recognizable. Um, but yeah, this felt like a worthy follow up to the first film too, because it's like the first film you see Bernard and Miss Bianca are just like joining together as a duo, and they're really starting to like learn how to work with each other and everything, and it feels like they're new at this all. Bernard, I think that was like his first mission too. But in here, both of them feel like they're more experienced. They feel like they're more ready for this kind of thing. And even though Bernard didn't realize that's what he was signing up for at first, he was all for doing it because Bernard's a good dude. And you could see throughout the runtime, it's like Bernard was very clearly a lot more confident than he ever was in the first movie. He was a lot braver, a lot more confident, a lot more just gung-ho about doing this. And I like to see that kind of growth. He still felt like very much the same character, very soft-spoken and kind and gentle and everything. But he was definitely a lot more ready for this kind of situation than he would have been in the first film. And it kind of implies to me that they've gone on multiple missions in between the events of the first film and now. Now, this is based off of a book series, and I haven't read any of the books, so I don't know like what the equivalency is there. But maybe those shed some more light on that kind of thing. But yeah, I think this was genuinely a really good movie. Like I said, I think it was better than the first one. I wouldn't call it like amazing or anything because, like I said, it did have some flaws holding it back for me. It did have a lot of tropiness, a lot of things that just could have been done better. It could have been longer, stuff like that. But nothing really hurts it to a degree that makes it like unwatchable. No, it's very watchable and a movie that I just think was good fun. So, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of The Rescuers Down Under? Let me know, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.